the fear, the trepidation of a life and a world that I had absolutely no idea, but also the absolute excitement that I was doing something completely different to anybody else that I went to school with, and that I'd found a community of people. I was very lucky that as an 18-year-old I found a community of people that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. My name's Tom Kerridge. My job is, it's multifunctional, but I suppose first and foremost I'm a chef that owns a number of pubs and restaurants. So my first experiences of work were heading into a kitchen in my late teens, and started washing up, progressed into being a chef, and then also on those sorts of chef trials was always about digging in there, getting your hands dirty and getting involved. The very first day in hospitality was one where I was absolutely terrified. I went into a kitchen to wash up. I started as a kitchen porter. I needed a job to make money, and I walked into a kitchen, and all of a sudden the sense of the noise, the camaraderie, they are very alien environments. Kitchens, if it's not you come from a school, you come from an office environment, everybody else that I went to school with went into slightly more everyday kind of 9-to-5 jobs. This was one where you were working in the evenings and late at night, so it felt like everything had been turned upside down and flipped on its head. And it was a mixture of two things. I remember within the first few months of being in a proper work environment, a situation where some chefs had left, and had left overnight pretty instantly, and being thrown in right at the deep end from being a young commie chef with pretty much zero responsibility, just doing what you were told and putting the veg away and understanding some bits and bobs and just going through the motions and getting through the day, to then all of a sudden having to run a section, a place of responsibility. I suddenly became a pastry chef overnight, even though with the zero pastry skills, I had to look after a section. And I think that real sense of responsibility, that you're making something that somebody else is working very hard for with their money to pay for the thing that you're creating, everything that has real-time consequences. And I think that sense of responsibility was one incredibly frightening. It leaves you with that kind of butterflies in your stomach. But at the same point, if you get through the day and everyone's enjoyed it and thought it was fantastic and you've got through it, that realization, that sense of achievement, is hugely impacting, particularly on young teenagers, thinking that you are now actually achieving something of value. I'm very fortunate that there's so many amazing highlights that I can remember, and still have them now, from being in hospitality. But from being a young age, I remember 18 years old and connecting and finding that you have something in common with a 30-year-old head chef that actually then appreciates the work that you've done when you've cooked something and you've done it very well and it comes up, and just constant reminders. Kitchens are always very active, they're always very alive, so there's always communication process that goes along. You're not left to your own devices, you're encouraged every single moment of every single day. And for me, the highlight of that is always been that adrenaline of pushing and a sense of achievement that comes little moments throughout the day on a constant basis. The first week of leaving school and working in hospitality and being in that, very incredibly diverse workspace was a real eye-opener to how big the world can be. One of the most valuable experiences that I've learned from being in hospitality, but I think most importantly in any industry, is that skill set can be taught. Attitude is the one thing that you own personally. So being a willingness to work hard, get stuck in, and lead with a positive attitude will get you far further than just a skill set alone. The biggest challenge for me, and I think it's probably the same for everybody when you leave school and go into a work environment, is that everything suddenly feels like you're starting all over again, and there is so much to learn about everything and everywhere, and it can feel incredibly daunting because it suddenly feels like you're a very small dot in a huge ocean. But actually what you need to keep reminding yourself is that every little bit is just the bit that you need to know just in front of you. These tiny little gains, tiny little bits of knowledge that it is, life is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So don't be daunted by how vast the ocean looks, just enjoy being in the part that you are now. So now, having been sat in this industry for 32 years, looking back, all of those moments of fear and all those moments of anxiety and I think stress levels about a service coming up or that I haven't got anything ready, I would say to myself, actually, it is just food. Don't worry about it so much. But at the same point, just keep saying yes to everything. Just say yes. Every opportunity that comes in front of you, just say yes to it. Work hard, say yes, and enjoy every moment. Everyone should have a work experience story.